Of all the animated shows over the last decade, few have had as memorable of a cast as Steven Universe. The show easily had one of the most diverse sets of characters modern animation has seen, and it was undoubtedly one of the most important elements of the show's popularity. While the small town of Beach City might be home to a lot of friendly faces, from humans to aliens, the world of Steven Universe unfortunately also has its fair share of characters we could live without. Despite its long list of charming and enjoyable figures, some characters are unlikable, whether it be because they're annoying, pompous, selfish, or something entirely different. Whatever the reason, there are more than a few characters we don't care for. With that being said, that begs the question, what characters in Steven Universe are the absolute worst of the worst? Of the show's large assortment of citizens, gems, and everything in between, who are the people that even Steven Universe himself can't see the good in? Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Bench, and this is the worst Steven Universe characters and why they suck. In fifth place is a obscure antagonist, Holly Blue Agate. A gem loyal to Blue Diamond, Holly Blue rules over Pink Diamond Zoo with an iron fist. She's uncaring of any being that is below her on the social caste, only maintaining respect for those above her. In short, she's a suck-up, and nobody likes a suck-up. This sense of elitism is the main element that makes Holly's character so infuriating. She's disrespectful of the corpses that serve her and will blame them for anything, even if that thing in question was clearly her fault. She has no regard for their feelings or anything like that. They are her underlings, and few things annoy her as much as when they disobey her. Holly's obsession with following the rules and maintaining order, a trait best seen by which gem she shows respect towards, also makes her a rather insufferable character. Holly Blue is also far from being the most intelligent gem in the series, allowing Steven and the other crystal gems to run free in the zoo and only realizing when it's far too late. While it does serve as a memorable moment within the episode, it does make her less intimidating. Holly Blue is a typical mean and selfish authority figure, but the reason she's only at this spot is that she doesn't have much of a role in the series as a whole. Besides these two episodes, we only see her one more time after this, and even then, she's a bit more caring towards others than she was previously. Since she doesn't have many appearances and does eventually begin to change her ways, if only slightly, she gets the 5th spot on our list. Trust us when we say there are far worse villains and minor characters in this series. Once you see them, you'll understand why Holly is ranked so low. Next is the father to sour cream and Greg's old manager, Marty. Marty is your typical money and fame-obsessed music manager we've seen in countless other movies and shows. Back when he was still friends with Greg, he only used him as a means to get what he wanted. He didn't really care for Greg or his music, instead worrying about what his career could mean for him and him alone. Marty sees just about everyone he interacts with as a means to make a buck at best or inconsequential at worst. Why worry about having a girlfriend when you could ditch her and get with several? Why care about the talent you're managing when there's always someone else right around the corner? Even his son Sour Cream is seen as another way to make a dime. He uses him to advertise a brand of soda and makes no attempt to catch up on what he's been doing since he last left him. So if Marty is a bad friend, a deadbeat dad, and focused entirely on his own pursuits at the expense of everyone else's, why is Marty only in 4th place? While it is true that Marty doesn't seem to love anything else outside of the dollar bill, he does at least retain something that you could call a conscience. He graciously gives Greg a royalty check for $10 million, showing that Marty isn't the greediest of cartoon characters. This also inadvertently led to one of the most celebrated episodes of the series, Mr. Greg, so he does have that going for him. Still, that doesn't make up for his selfish personality, nor does it help him escape our list. Marty is one of the more selfish characters featured in the series, and even ignoring all of his other bad aspects, that's enough to make him one of the worst characters the series has to offer. In 3rd place, we have a gem who may be small, but her ego is anything but. That's right, it's Aquamarine. While even the most diabolical gems in Steven Universe begin to make things right and change sooner or later, Aquamarine rejects that and is rotten to her very core. From the moment we meet her to the last time she appears, Aquamarine is ruthless and bent on completing her missions. Much like Holly Blue, Aquamarine is a pretty pompous gem, often seeing fellow gems as below her. Just take a look at her relationship with Topaz as proof. Aquamarine sees Topaz as a weak and overly sentimental gem whose only worth comes from helping her carry out her task. to Aquamarine, Topaz is her muscle and offers nothing else of value. She's easily one of the cruelest characters to be featured in the show. Her first appearance in the series features her kidnapping many of Steven's friends and going so far as to entertain the idea of murdering them. When she reappears in Steven Universe Future, Aquamarine is one of the few gems who have rejected the new ideas of Homeworld. This puts her in conflict once again with Steven, whose father she again tries to take out. Really, what gets Aquamarine this high on our list is the fact that she has all the negative traits of the preceding characters, but none of the positives. She doesn't evolve, she doesn't have a conscience, and she's evil. This makes her one of the most dangerous characters in the series, and one of the most detestable as well. She's proof that some people will never change their ways, and when you're as evil as this gem, that's far from a good thing. But real quick, before we get to our next entries, if you're enjoying this video, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. We ask because we'd really appreciate the help getting to our next milestone, and we have lots more videos we'd love to share with you. Thanks a lot, guys. Second place is Kevin. Kevin is a typical bully we've seen in literally hundreds of cartoons, but few are as instantly unlikable as this guy. Kevin is as egotistical as they come, and just like many of the characters before him, views himself as being better than everyone else. He only cares about himself, and he's really proud of that. One of the more blatant instances of Kevin's disrespect came in the episode Alone Together, where he constantly pressured Stevani, the fusion of Steven and Connie, to dance with him. The two eventually caved, much to their dismay. This moment also shows that Kevin has no real care for the boundaries of others. As we said, the only thing that matters in Kevin's mind is Kevin, and pretty much nothing else. He doesn't have any respect for either Steven or Connie, and is only interested in using their fusion to help his popularity. He's also a dirty opponent, as seen in the episode Beach City Drift, where he lies about a sick sibling to garner sympathy from Stevani. This did garner some pity, which he then predictably used to his advantage to win the race. In addition, Kevin is, unsurprisingly, a bad influence on others. In his last appearance, he tries to get Steven and Connie to fuse to bring attention to his party, but the two are at a particularly rough spot in their friendship. Kevin suggests that Steven should try to ignore Connie, which predictably only serves to hurt their relationship more. But the most damning thing against Kevin is the fact that Steven flat out does not like him. No other character in the entire series has inspired such a reaction from Steven. Do you know how bad of a person you gotta be when Steven Universe, a kid who has seen the bright side in so many bullies, soldiers, and alien warlords, can't stand you? When that happens, you know you're definitely one of the worst characters in the show. Up to this point, most characters we've looked at were portrayed negatively on purpose. While we took issue with them, you can't say that they were all necessarily intended to be likable. It's one thing to be unlikable as a villain or a bully, but it's another when you're unlikable as a character we should enjoy. Now that's the cardinal sin of the first place winner, Ronaldo. He's an employee at his family's restaurant. Ronaldo is infatuated with everything gym related that occurs in Beach City. He runs a blog all about them titled Keep Beach City Weird, and will usually pin anything out of the ordinary on them. In essence, Ronaldo is this show's version of Dib from Invader Zim, but a whole lot more annoying. Honestly, that's insulting to Dib because even Dib on his worst day is better than Ronaldo at his best. His antics can be entertaining on occasion, but most of the time, you just wish he'd stay quiet and the rest of the series can get going. His obsession with conspiracy theories also tends to bring out some of the worst elements in Ronaldo's personality. Ronaldo can be paranoid, with one episode even featuring him believing Steven was a snake person. Like Kevin before him, he's not the best when it comes to maintaining boundaries. In the episode Ronaldo, Ronaldo became so intrigued of becoming a crystal gem that Steven could barely even fall asleep without him being a problem. He almost sacrificed Sadie and Lars for what he thought was a ghost. Could you imagine someone like Steven or Garnet pulling a stunt like that? And unlike most of the other characters on this list, who were contained to just a few episodes, Ronaldo is a recurring character, making him way more frustrating. He appears more than even some of the best minor characters in the series. Trust us, when you saw that he was gonna have a role in a new episode, you thought, looks like it's gonna be one of those episodes. Overall, after you take all these not so great elements and put them into a character who we should like, it comes as no surprise that what you're left with is the worst Steven Universe character of all. Alright guys, that's it. Let us know in the comment section if you agree with our list, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge more of our videos. But most importantly, stay wicked.